So I'm pretty much ready whenever, I think. If we can...
Countdown.
All right, shall I do the countdown then? Sure. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Let's test. So welcome to Dustforce. It's a game about janitors.
It sure is. Yeah, this is a 2D indie platformer, and you have all the regular controls of a platformer. You can run, you can jump, you can double jump. You also have attacks. We'll be getting into those shortly.
So this category is the SSL category. Basically, in every level, there's an amount of dust and amount of enemies. You have to clear all the dust without dropping combo or getting hit. So if Sivade misses any dust and drops combo, or if he gets hit, he has to start the entire level over.
That's especially important to note because a lot of Dustforce levels are comparably long. Like a beginner tutorial there was 40 seconds or so. So if you were to, by chance, drop combo at the end of beginner, you'd have to restart it.
So here we have the combat tutorial where you get to learn about the attacks. Worth noting about the attacks is that if you successfully clean an enemy, you will get your double jump back. And it is also worth noting that there are two different types of attacks, the light attack and the heavy attack. The light attacks come out faster and they will do less points of damage, so to speak. And the heavy attacks will come out slower, but will generally clean enemies a lot
Get
faster.
that prism.
Oh, yep. I'm doing a little bit of a safe strat here. Normally I wouldn't go and hit that prism. I would leave it for the end of the level where I would super smother prisms, but it's a little bit precise to actually do that, so I don't want to mess that up and have to go through like a 40-second level all over again. Because it only costs like a second or two to actually get that normally, so yeah.
So at the end of that level, he did something called a super, which is by doing both a light and a heavy attack at the same time, you clean everything within a radius. Worth noting that the dust actually is only line of sight, but all enemies within inside the radius will get cleaned without line of sight. And supering refills your air charges, so it lets you double jump again.
By the way, you probably just saw that Sivade just died right there, and you're like, okay, so I thought he had to restart the level, right? So it turns out that advanced tutorial is kind of a special case. If he hasn't collected any dust yet, he can actually continue without restarting, and he still has a chance to SS. There was another flub though, so that
Yeah,
time.
I just barely didn't make it up that well, but it's fine.
If he had gotten the twirl, he would have screamed.
So a big point the player learns in this level is about boosting and dashing. If you come down on an angled slope with enough velocity, you'll get a boost, a momentum in your X direction. And if you dash while you have a boost, you'll keep it. But dashing only locks your speed for about 12 to 13 frames, depending. So you have to keep dashing every 12 or 13 frames to keep speed.
And it is a rhythm. You cannot just mash the button.
Yeah, well, you can, but
You can,
It won't work
but
out very well.
inadvisable.
Someone might have done that at one point. Might have been me.
So that was all the tutorials. There are only 3 tutorials that will teach you the basics. So now we've moved on into the levels Nexus. We're starting off with downhill. You'll notice right away that there are all these different doors that you enter throughout one big Nexus that will take you to the individual levels themselves. You may have seen up above that there was a door with a lock on it. And to open those locks, obviously we need keys. We need the keys of the same corresponding color. So here in Shaded Grove, Sivade's going to get a wood key by SSing it, and he's going to use it right now on Firefly to open that door.
So all the level keys work like that. There are different tiers, and each tier unlocks the next set of doors. Also, you've probably noticed now that Sivade is not playing the strapping blue guy anymore. He's now playing the equally great red character.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Each character has their own properties. For the most part, the red and the blue character are mostly similar. They have some slight differences that we're not probably going to go into that much. But the other characters, the purple kid and the green old guy, are very different. So if you want to explain those, Callistus.
Absolutely. So in the level before this, Shaded Grove, you saw him playing Dustforce, the green character. He has higher jumps, he falls slower, and his attacks are much longer. So he is used generally for climbing levels. So if there's any upward section in a level, there's a good chance he's going to be up there for individual level competitive times. And then Dust Kid we will be seeing shortly, and we'll go into Dust Kid a little bit more once we get there.
I think there's a joke floating around that if you need to jump more than twice in a level, it's probably a worth level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You say it's a joke, but it's not wrong.
I'd just like to jump in with a $5,000 donation from Yeti.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Hey, y'all, Yeti here. Hey, y'all, Yeti here. We've hit $25,000 raised from shirts, a special bid for those donations. We're donating this file name for a girl named Samantha whose life was touched by GDQs and found joy and inspiration in video games thanks to speedrunning. Never give up and keep on smiling.
All right, so here in Delia, we see Dust Kid, and Dust Kid has 2 double jumps, and Dust Kid also has much faster attacks. Now, the downsides is that the jumps are much shorter than the other characters, and the attacks are also much shorter.
You might have also noticed by now that when Sivade finishes a level, just before he's done with the final attack, whether it be a super or a heavy or whatever, he will press escape and start to exit out of the level before it's actually completed. That's called an early exit. It doesn't really do anything special besides get you out a little bit faster than if we would let the level actually complete fully before exiting. So it's a small optimization.
If you were to not early exit or do anything at all, you'd have to wait a long time because there are scoreboards that come up, but for speedrunning, they're not useful, so we just skip everything.
If you have this game and you've played it, then do check out the scoreboards, by the way, because some of the top 10 times are incredibly fast, and especially if you're new to the game, you'll have no idea what happened, and it'll amaze you and make you want to try to improve yourself.
And if you don't have the game, it is currently in the SGDQ 2016 Humble Bundle, and all proceeds from that will go to charity.
Another thing worth mentioning about the leaderboards is that for this game, the IL community is actually extremely active. So sometimes we might refer to a strategy or something as in relation to what it would be on the leaderboard. So we might say it's like a top 10 or top 20 strategy. So just know that those are would be really good times to shoot for, and some strategies we'll be seeing will be some of those.
As for what Sivade does in strats and levels and runs, he's actually doing a lot of strats that are pretty difficult. They're strats that would generally shoot you for about a top 25 position on a leaderboard. So he's not slacking. He's not really taking a whole lot of amenities in terms of the strats he's doing to make it easier. He's just grinding it out to be as fast as he can, and he's done it for so long that he's pretty consistent at it.
And it varies quite a bit from level to level. There are a few levels where it's basically just the world record strats, because it's still going around, and if you mess something up, it's not going to kill you. But like I said, it varies quite a lot.
Yeah.
Something that we see a little bit, but not a ton, is sometimes you can clean up dust through walls with attacks. This will only work for attacks that are direction up or down. You can't do it with side attacks. Another thing worth mentioning is that he just skipped a totem. He just let it kind of fall. If an enemy falls into a death trigger in this game, it counts as us cleaning it. So we can just, for sometimes, just move on and not have to worry about it.
Back to attacking dust, as Finn's mentioned. So you can attack dust through the walls, but you can also just attack it point blank when it's in front of you, like that. And it's something that a lot of beginners don't think about, because if you're a janitor in real life and you want to clean up dust, you'll use your broom. You won't just slide your body against it, because that would be bad and you don't want dust all over yourself. But in a video game, it kind of makes more sense to be more tactile and rub up against the dust. Again, we're trying to save time though.
This level is a perfect example of a Dustforce level. It's
Yep.
completely vertical.
Jump many times, so.
Here's $20 from James' brother. We've watched GDQs for years, and it's cool to see you and your Dustforce buddies on the big screen. P-Boy misses you very much. Now go dust some floors.
Oh my god.
This level has another strategy where he's going to just skip an enemy partially, so he doesn't have to fit all the way. He hits it there, but he has to wait a little bit because he went the other direction. But he's just going to let that wolf fall down the hole. And he heavies it first to get enough dust to super that bear. Otherwise, he wouldn't have enough, and it would be slower.
I want to say normally if I'm fast enough there, I won't have to wait, but I just missed a boost. So
We have $50 from Shin. Hey, all, Shin here. Had to donate during Sivade's Dustforce run, and I'm excited to watch him kill it. A previous SGDQ run, and this is this whole season, the whole reason I brought Dustforce in the first place. I put $50 towards half coordinated hand cam, the most hype of hand cams. I will donate an additional $50 if Sivade plays Dustforce on stream.
Thanks, Jin. Dustkid also can attack really fast, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I think with on this level, any other character, you just super there. It's faster, but Dustkid's light attacks are extremely quick, so you can just afford to attack them. Something else that's worth mentioning, if you look on the leaderboards, a lot of times there will be a few different characters. And in full game runs, it's not as optimized, so you're free to use whatever you're really comfortable with. So I know Sivade opts a lot for Dustkid on levels, but it's really whatever you want as long as it's not incredibly slow, and it's kind of hard to be incredibly slow as long as you finish the level.
This game is just plain hard, so a lot of times whatever will get you through the level deathlessly will be a good option.
$20 from Vicky Tronmon. As a medical professional myself, I think this is a great cause to donate to. Good luck on the run, Sivade. Shoutouts to the couch. Hashtag DustFam.
Thanks, Vicky. A lot of the levels in Dustforce are really long, and that of course raises the stakes a lot. So a mistake at the end of ruins like that, if you're trying to go for a really good time in SSL, that's obviously going to be a huge detriment to the run. But again, it's not that big of a deal. It happens all the time.
That is a nice thing about Dustforce, is that you can't actually not be able to continue a run. You can just restart the level and try again.
Yeah. Luckily, we don't have any soft locks yet.
We do, but they don't come up in the run, which is very fortunate. They are exclusive to a tutorial. I'll leave it at that.
We have an anonymous $25 donation. Picked up Dustforce in December, and the community is nothing but great. Shout out to the Dustforces. JM, I see you. GL, Sivade, enchant the crowd with your radio voice.
A little quirk to mention about attacks. Sivade just did one. When you're on the ground, if you do a downwards attack, it'll be different than your normal air down attack. It actually reaches quite a big distance when you do a grounded light attack or grounded down attack. So he used it there to clean up quite a bit of dust blocks without actually being anywhere near them.
Important note: those bears have a lot of health, but you might have noticed him kill a bear with one light attack. That's because those quills that the porcupine is shooting, if you redirect them into an enemy, it'll clean the enemy instantly.
It's actually funny. I think one of the Dustforce players is going, and MSG, who makes the Dust mod, was talking about how there's actually no code for it to instantly kill the enemy. It just does a lot of damage when it hits them. It actually does something like 20 damage to it.
Oh.
So shout outs to Hitbox.
Now, even though Sivade does enjoy Dustkid, there is a very good reason to use Dustkid on Ancient Garden, which is this setup right here, which you can only do with Dustkid's 2 double jumps. And what you will do there is abuse the fact that if you jump from the edge of a platform, you will not have the wind-up animation for the jump, and that means that you will not lose speed to a wind-up animation, which allows you to reach the wall and get up to this level extremely quickly.
That's another important note, though, is choosing characters can sometimes not only factor into what level you're playing, but also the level's nexus outside of it. So your movement, once you finish the level, is important as well.
That is another thing about this run that is makes it quite difficult. You really don't get a break. You're in the levels, and then as soon as you're done with a level, you have to go to the overworld, which is the same movement and the exact same tech. So there's really not a spot in the run where there's a boss or a cutscene or anything. You kind of just have to go straight through.
Mm-hmm. That super was just barely out of range, but it's not a big deal because that super, yeah. That the super will also give you your air charges back. So even though he had lost it, he gained it back with the super and could jump over and take care of that large totem. And with that Night Temple, that was the end of the mansion, or excuse me, the forest. So now he's in the mansion.
Mansion is pretty famous for just having extremely long levels that a lot of people will find boring. In the speedrun community, typically they're known for you have to be really good at boosting, which can be kind of tiring. So a lot of these levels would just be, they'll seem really long, and they are really long, but some of them aren't particularly difficult. They just end up being like a marathon.
It'll come into play in some of the upcoming levels, but the boosting specifically will be ground boosting, which I don't believe we've touched on. But when you land on the ground, there is a short period of time where you're moving slightly faster than your regular run speed. And if you use dash rhythm, you can lock yourself to that slightly faster than run speed.
Yeah, and that's pretty much, like you said, what you're going to be using throughout the whole mansion. I don't think there are a ton of boost levels in the mansion that you do otherwise. Also worth mentioning, I know we talked about this a little earlier, the mansion has some really wacky routing because of the way the doors are set up. There's no linear way to go about it. There's a ton of different routes, and a lot of them aren't agreed upon by anyone. So just know that it might look like he's backtracking a lot, but really it's just because he doesn't have the keys yet, and the way he's doing it actually is mostly optimal. I mean, there might be some small differences, but there's really nothing we can do about it.
You can talk to any two runners, and their mansion routes will probably be different.
We have a $75 donation. Hey, Sivade, Fish McMuffins here. Good luck from all the Dustforces at home. Here's $1 for all the levels you're going to SS today. Anyway, donation goes to Sivade's choice unless it saves the animals, in which case, tell Sivade I am upset with him and put the money towards kill the animals.
He's absolutely saved animals.
$5 from Scryos. Always willing to donate to Dustforce. Best of luck to Sivade and shoutouts to the couch, #DustFam.
I think this level is going to be just about the first level where there's just mostly ground boosting. There's some enemies here and there, but a lot of times to get around, he's going to want to ground boost and just to get from place to place.
Even the slopes are a bit rare, so.
Just there, you saw him, some tech that might be hard to see, but if you know what to look for, you can see it. Anytime you go over a ledge, you're in the air for a little bit, and generally it's undesirable because it's hard to control. So if you have an air charge, you can do something called a mantle, which is just dashing in the air so that you can immediately start on the running on the ground instead of floating in the air for a second. If you don't have an air charge, you can do something called a ledge cancel, which you just down dash and then dash forward again to get your running speed. Again, so you don't float in the air. It just makes everything a little bit faster.
And there's a perfectly clear demonstration of ground boosting in action right there.
Back to the ledge cancels, those are actually very significant. Like each one is about half a second, maybe a little bit more, so those add up very quickly.
Yeah, at the end of the last level, he didn't fight them the way you normally would, but there were some knights there, an enemy that's new in the mansion. The floating gargoyles you see are basically like the floating turkeys you saw in the forest, but the knights you can only hit from the back, or if they're in midair, you can hit them anywhere. But if you hit them from the front, they just shield it. But there he got a super from hitting him. You still get dust from hitting the shield, and then he used that to complete the level instead, because otherwise they're pretty tanky.
Thank you for not early exiting.
$50 from Phantom Powered. My Roomba doesn't dust as fast as Sivade's Dustforce does. That's worth donating for. Shoutouts to one of the best platformers in recent memory. Kill the dust and the apples. And good luck on the backup shift.
Apples. We don't want to kill the apples.
So in this game, there are some hidden apples. They don't really do anything. You can hit them, but they're all pretty out of the way. You do get one combo every time you hit them, so theoretically you can get like supers and stuff off them, but most of them are really hidden and they're not really worth going to.
$25 from Worm Talon. These Dustforce runs are always very impressive and always get me playing the game again. The difference in skill comes obvious when I come in and I run into a gold level that takes a couple hours of attempts to complete it all. The amount of practice that goes into these runs is stunning. This goes to runner's choice.
Save animals. Yes. Oops.
By the way, our ultimate goal in this levels Nexus is to beat all of the gold doors with an SS completion rank. What that'll do is it'll give us these mysterious red keys. We'll see what those do later, but they won't be useful right away.
$25 from Nimier and Annie. Hi, longtime viewers, first time donating, and no better chance than one of our favorite games ever. Dash, dash, dash. Good luck for the run, Sivade. P.S. I'm still learning Yada, but I'll SS it one day. PPS. Save the animals this time. $100 from Trevmex. Dustforce hype. Looking forward to this run and save the animals, save the frames, not the animals.
So here is, it's going to become pretty apparent that the routing for this Nexus is kind of weird. He had to go all the way through the bottom of the mansion, and now he's going to go through the middle up to the top and then up to the side. Kind of a weird way, but it's the only way to do this world.
This is a level where Dusk Girl is a popular pick for little precise reasons that we don't really need to go into, but it sort of turns out that you can choose Dustman or Dusk Girl for a lot of the levels where either one of them is good. But Sivade will opt for Dusk Girl here, so it's nice to see her in a couple levels.
We have a $20 donation from Go Wade. Greetings from Australia. I got up early to watch this run. Dustforce is the game that taught me the joy of speedrunning, so I couldn't miss it. Money to runner's choice.
That there was an arena level that you probably missed because you were blinking. Sivade actually does strats that sort of resemble the world record strats. They're a little bit slower, but it doesn't matter. He goes incredibly fast through it.
Storeroom, the level that Sivade just completed, is actually one of the few levels where, as far as we know, Dust Kid is IL optimal. She's actually not the best on a lot of levels, but there are a few.
Kind of a fun note that people are often curious about is a lot of times people will ask Sivade in a stream or something, is it better to play on keyboard or is it better to play on a controller? And there's actually a very even split between controller players and keyboard players in the community. It honestly doesn't matter. You can get just as good with either one.
Yeah, there are a lot of top players, notably, basically probably considered the top IL or Luffy uses controller. And then I know one of the other top ILers, Fresh Maniac, uses keyboard. I've personally played on both back and forth, and they're pretty even. It's just whatever you like more.
Probably the most important thing about the controller is the way that you bind the buttons to the controller of your choice, because there are certain key combinations that you want to be able to press at the same time. So, for example, light and heavy for the super, And then something we haven't mentioned, which is dash jumping, which is pressing dash and jump at the exact same time, which will give you the height of a jump along with the speed of a dash.
Also worth noting that you want to make sure that if you're going to use keyboard, you probably shouldn't pinky dash because your hands will hurt and it will be awful.
No offense to the pinky dashers, but I don't know. Your fingers are really strong.
Yeah.
You should probably, I don't know, do something, or I'm very concerned for your hands.
This coming up is a great example of like attacking things and dust through walls. He's done it a lot in this level, and it's just really useful all over the place.
There, especially if when Sivade up-heavied the gargoyle through the floor there, when you finished the enemy off, it didn't spread any dust, and that was because it was an up-heavy specifically. So the dust spread would be upward, but there was no upward to be had, so no dust was spread, which is another optimization.
Yeah, if there was a ceiling right above that guy, I would have to go all the way up there, and it just would be really inconvenient.
This level can be scary for beginners because it doesn't have any checkpoints. So while you're not going to see the use of checkpoints generally in SSL run just because we can't die, it's especially challenging for beginners. It's daunting to see this level and know that you don't have the option of a checkpoint. You have to fully learn the entire thing.
We have $40 from Fender McBender. Really looking forward to seeing the very last levels on this run. Good luck with the run. XOXO.
So, in case you're wondering, this music does not have any, or this level does not have any music. It's not a bug. This level, just for whatever reason, the devs decided to not put music on it.
I think it's to make it more spooky.
Yeah, this level is called Ghost Parapets, so really, really spooky.
Mm-hmm. I think the mantles are the scariest part.
Yeah, it's actually very easy to mess up this level, so that is a little bit spooky.
I think Ramparts, the last level, so they competed is the longest level outside of the last
Probably.
level. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
So I think that after we get out of Mansion, the level times will generally be lower.
There's long levels here and there, especially when it gets to other gold doors. But yeah, generally Mansion is the place to go if you want to bore yourself with very long levels.
Hey now, I like Mansion.
A lot of people dislike Mansion, but I actually really like it for the run because it's kind of easy. Like,
Yeah.
you can mess up a lot of stuff, but generally you don't die aside from like the last few levels, Tower and Ghost Parapets. So I kind of enjoy Mansion.
That's okay because the Mansion's gone and now we're in the city.
We've entered the city where we're no longer dusting dust. We're just cleaning up litter and garbage.
There's a lot of litter and garbage.
Yeah.
Very inconsiderate
Very
townspeople.
rude people
Yeah.
live in the city. So we don't want to be here for very long.
No.
$50 from Titan Drake. I started playing Dustforce because of the last SS run from SGDQ, which unfortunately had to get Mercy killed. As a casual IL player who SS'd everything except Yada, I'm excited to see this game finally get 100%ed in a marathon. Good luck, Sivade.
Thank you.
No part of the city is safe, by the way. We're going to even clean up the landfill.
Yeah. I think city especially, there are a lot of places where dust blocks are faster cleaned up than attacks rather than going over them or through them. Also, I don't know if we've mentioned it, but dust blocks, if you're falling fast enough, you will just go through them. They will not stop you. So in levels where there's dust blocks above a pit or something like that, Sivade has to make sure he doesn't go too fast. Otherwise, he'll just fall through. And that level construction site, another shining example of attacking dust through walls to clean it up much faster than you'd be able to otherwise.
It's actually pretty hard to do construction site by touching all the dust.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of ceilings that are pretty hard to access.
So close.
So at the end of that level, Sivade kind of mixed heavies and supers. You'd think it might just be faster just to super everything, but there is some point where each, I think starting up a super takes about 0.35 seconds, and each additional enemy takes about 1/10 of a second. So at some point, getting a bunch of enemies in your heavy attacks will just be faster. And on the end of that level, it's impossible to get everything at the end with one super, so he didn't mess that up. It's just an unfortunate fact about that level. I think another thing that makes Dustforce pretty good, or Dustworth, sorry, the green character, is that when he runs on ceilings and walls, or not walls but ceilings, he typically gets much more speed and can go a little farther, I think, than other characters, which is really useful in a lot of places.
It's fine. The same way that ground boosts work is actually the same thing. The same thing applies to ceilings. So you can jump into a ceiling with a lot of speed at a certain angle and you'll get a boost. And of course, that happens to be most apparent with Dustforce.
Yeah. There's also a thing we can do called a corner boost. Basically, if there's a ceiling that's met by a 45-degree slope, if you jump and grab the ceiling off of the wall, you will get a boost from that because, again, you're hitting it at an angle, so the game just gives you more speed.
So I'd like to mention on this level, there's a large cluster of enemies right up here that I'm just going to ignore, and I'm going to get those later on in the level, the super attack through the wall. So I'm not just forgetting those or ignoring them.
Anonymous $10 donation. Sivade, you missed a spot. Just kidding. Awesome run. Keep up the good work.
Oops.
$5 from Game Duck. Hey Sivade, Duck here. Lost a sub 48 run yesterday on 16 Reds keys thanks to Dome. Hope this run won't be as misfortune. Also, killing the animals is not swag. Swag is greater than speed. Save the animals.
I don't know if it would have happened right there, but sometimes that golem guy will attack through the wall. Luckily, it didn't happen there, but I know that it can happen. And sometimes he will do it randomly, even though you're not even right there.
It's something I didn't actually know.
I think you have to go slow. So.
I unfortunately know.
So another beautiful thing about Dustforce, in my opinion, is that you can save pretty much anything.
We have a little pet name for Sivade in the community because his username anagrams to I saved, and on stream he's made some pretty insane saves on levels where they really shouldn't have happened. Not that they shouldn't have happened, but they were really difficult. Like right there, Sivade, ideally he would have just heavy attacked those, but unfortunately he missed it, and to save it from falling, he can super and regain his air charges.
Supering is a really effective way and easy to apply in a lot of places to save a mistake. That was an accidental wall climb.
Yeah, that was a little bit risky.
Worth mentioning that that section Sivade just completed was entirely dust blocks. And like I said earlier, if you go too fast, dust blocks will just let you fall through them. So he was actually doing something pretty tricky there, which is getting ground boosts on dust blocks, but without falling through them, which is pretty tricky to do.
That's more what the intended strat was. That was good. I think that part makes it especially obvious how much faster attacking the dust can be.
Yeah.
An anonymous $50 donation. A cent for every attempt I made at hideout before giving up.
Here's another level that's intimidating for beginners due to a lack of checkpoints. There's no checkpoints whatsoever, so your first SS, or your first completion is probably going to be your first SS.
This level coming up, Concrete Temple, is another one of like the really longer levels. Typically this level is done with the Dustforce, the green character, but again, Sivade prefers Kid here, so he's going to be playing that instead. So that part with the giant pit and the trash can, if you use the red character or the blue character, you actually have to juggle the trash can over the pit with light attacks. But if you use the green character or the blue or the purple character, you can just jump across if you time your jumps well.
That's cheating though.
Doing it that way or not using the red character?
Oh, just jumping over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you gotta juggle the trash can.
I don't think I've ever done that strat.
You never, just jumped over it?
No, I don't think I've ever juggled it.
Oh, no way. Gotta experience that once in your life.
So in the beginning of this level, Sivade used some kind of advanced tech that's weird to explain. Basically, after he attacked, he attached to the wall very briefly, like he was going to wall climb, but didn't. And then it let him attack again sooner than he normally would have been able to.
Okay, if you have played this game and you got decently into it, you're probably familiar with Hideout. And if you are familiar with Hideout, you know that playing Dustkid on Hideout is insane. For the longest time when the game came out, Hideout was thought to be the only level impossible with one of the characters, that character being Dustkid. And now here we have Sivade playing through this level as Dustkid. It's one of the blocks at the very start is at an awkward height for Dustkid, which made it impossible, but you can do it by either making a 1 or 2 pixel perfect stand on the edge of the spikes, or by using a spike jump, which
I don't believe we've talked about it yet.
No, we haven't. So a spike jump, you can actually jump off spikes that are at a 45-degree angle, and the way that this works is that you buffer a jump while falling onto that 45-degree angle set of spikes, and the game will process your jump input before it kills you with the spikes.
Yeah, so to any players who, like, or any people who haven't played Dustforce, it's not quite as simple as just buffering a jump off spikes. They have to be 45-degree spikes, and you have to be moving downward. You also have to hold down and jump the entire time. So it's useful, but not as useful as people might think, I don't think.
Right.
Where's lab now, by the way?
Yeah, so we're done cleaning up that awful polluted city.
Yeah, it's nice and sparkly now.
Yeah, so now we're just cleaning up some failed science experiments.
There's a lot of failures.
We have a $25 donation. Hi, Chris. Great to see you online, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
We have a $10 donation from John. I want to wish all the speedrunners good luck and thank everyone at GDQ for helping raise money for an awesome cause.
Whoops. I actually restarted the level on accident.
If I think if Sivade actually restarts the level, even though he completed it, if you were to exit it there, it would have been fine, but I think a restart specifically requires you do it again.
Yeah,
I don't think it actually SS's.
It's a weird difference. When you exit the level, you have a little moment where things continue to happen, but restarting it just instantly, there's no time, so that kind of messed me up.
Yeah.
I think another thing that happened similarly, it doesn't apply for this category, but if you die in a level without receiving a checkpoint, it'll immediately put you back to the start. But if you have a checkpoint, your kind of corpse will keep going, and you can hit checkpoints after that. I think it's a similar thing that happens.
We have $20 from Zoe C's. Shout out to Power Up Audio for doing a killer job behind the scenes, especially my homeboy Kevin with the good hair. Against Kevin's advice, I'm pledging my donation towards saving the animals. Also, sorry Bulbous couldn't make it.
Also forgot to mention it on Hideout. I'm pretty sure that level has, positive level has the least amount of SS's of any level, except for the last level. And maybe even the least completions, I think.
I believe that is correct.
So just to give people an idea of how daunting that level can be.
We're coming up on satellite debris, and I should probably let it be known that it's a DX level. So there was an update to the game about 2 years ago now that added 16 new levels into the main Nexus. Those are the easiest levels that have no locks whatsoever, so you can get to them without any keys. Satellite debris being one of them. They were just added to maybe ease the difficulty curve a little bit, because it used to be that they started with what would now be the wood lock doors, and comparatively those are a bit more difficult than these keyless doors. So it makes it a little more beginner friendly.
$20 from Yoan Meyer. Pizza, a good beer, and SGDQ. What's better than this? Long-time watcher, and for the first time, I'm actually able to give some of my money. Feels great. Thanks to the runners and all the staff. Greetings from France.
One thing I don't think we've talked about yet is some of the newer enemies in the lab. There are a couple. You have the elasticy slime ball things, where if you hit them left or right, they will snap back and hit you back. With those things that are surrounding Sivade right now. Normally they have 5 health, so 5 light attacks to kill, but they have a weird quirk about them where if you hit them in a direction and hit them in a different direction, they will just die in 2 hits instead.
I think it's supposed to be that you're exposing the thing that's connecting the
Yeah.
the blob to the ground, and then you're cutting it off.
So I think we're coming up on one of the only places in the game where a certain mechanic will come into play. This is backup shift. It's one of the gold key doors, so one of the harder levels. There's a section in this level where you have to worry about your hit rise. So each character, when they attack an enemy, they will rise a certain set amount. I think it's, not sure if it's different per character, but there's a section in here where if you don't space out your attacks and your dashes really well, you will just hit spikes no matter what.
It's right here.
Yeah, so this part right here.
So it might not be totally obvious, but Sivade's taking a little breather after each enemy cleanup just to lower himself a couple pixels.
And I think other than the difficult, that's like the only place where that comes into play. So.
Yeah.
I'm resetting here because if I mess up, it's generally faster to just reset because I'm going for a certain cycle, and if I mess up, it's probably just going to be slower to just try and finish it off from there. Because I practice it, very specific
God.
strats. So. It's also safer as well, kind of.
I think what just happened to Sivade a little bit is some of the animations for these dust tiles in this world are a little like, sometimes when you clear them, it'll look like they're still there for a couple frames while their disappearing animation plays. So they can be kind of troll.
It's a little hard to tell sometimes.
$150 from Tom Smith. Congratulations so far on such a wonderful event. Longtime watcher, first-time donator. Signed off work for a week due to illness, so this is an absolute lifesaver, and this run of Dustforce is incredible. Good luck to all the runners, and well done to all the staff running the stream.
He got everything down there, I promise.
Kind of similar to Mansion, but not as bad. There's some weird routing in this world because of the two levels, Core Temple and Dome. They both are enclosed off from everything else in their own little section, so getting to them is a little annoying because they're the only thing in there, but again, we have to go to them, so.
I think it's backup shift too.
Oh yeah, you're right. Backup shift is also kind of in its own little thing.
At the end of Core Temple here, you're going to see a tactical spike jump. Sivade's going to intentionally run himself out of air charges so that he can guarantee a spike jump at the end, and then he's going to very quickly dash so that he can make it through the tunnel at the end. And again, if you're playing this casually, that tunnel at the end is where you're going to lose most of your runs of Core Temple, because if you clean up the blob as you're passing through, the hit rise probably will make you run into the ceiling, and it's the most frustrating thing when you don't know what's going on. This spike jump just prevents that from happening.
There you go.
There it is.
That strat can still be a little bit tricky sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Here's a death warp.
I guess Abyss is pretty out of the way too.
Yeah, that's the one place in the run in SS where we want checkpoints.
Something that hasn't come up but is true of this run. If you're going for some difficult overworld Nexus movement and you fail it, you can exit to the main Nexus and come back, and it saves your position at whatever door you last entered. So sometimes if Sivade had failed to jump from, help me out, to
Ghost to Tower or
yeah,
something?
no,
Or to Night Temple.
yeah, to Night Temple. If he
Temple.
fails that jump, he can just exit the Nexus instead of going back there, which would take more time.
Yeah, it's really convenient, and I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Dome here. This is the last level in the levels Nexus that we're going to see. This is the final gold door that we have to complete, and with this he'll have 16 different red keys.
Here, $5 from Akuder or AK Uder, can't sure. Pretty sure that Hideout SS and Backup Shift SS just broke Twitch chat, so I had to donate again. Sivade's choice again. Keep it going. Team Averaging.
I think I'm gonna stick with Save the Animals.
If you're curious, I believe it's pronounced Akuder.
Thank you.
He's going to do a mouse exit here. You'll see once he clicks on the yes there, he'll just be taken out to the main Nexus. It's just it was a bug, and now they included it as a feature.
So this is where all his red keys are going to be used. He's entering into the last part of the run, which is the difficults, which are, as their name implies, very difficult. This is really the only break Sivade gets in the run. He doesn't really get to take his hands off the keyboard, so...
Yeah, normally I can take one hand off and I won't dash between the doors. It's a matter of frames, so it's a nice like 10-second break.
Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the break.
It was nice.
Kilo is our soft introduction to the difficulties. It's about the same difficulty as a gold door would be. That said, it's not easy. The beginning especially can be tricky with Dustman or Dustgirl.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can't make that jump over the pit with Dustgirl, can you?
You can.
You can't make it by landing on the platform.
Oh.
Yeah, you can make it, but you'll climb up the ledge. So that's the only way. It used to be impossible with Dustgirl, where you had to go like all the way around.
So this level used to originally be the last level of the game. There's actually a Steam achievement for assessing it, but of course they've updated the game with a lot more difficult levels now.
An anonymous $5 donation. Long-time watcher, first time donating. Dustforce looks like a lot of fun and you make it look easy. They should add a level where you... They should add a level where you clean up after Super Meat Boy's mess. Kill the animals.
So that last level we just completed, Giga. At the end, there's a certain thing we call Giga Walls, which are pretty much the bane of every new player's existence. Basically, you have to run up one side of a wall, get over the spikes, and then get a wall slide on the other side. I think other than backup shift, this is really the only level where hit rise will also come into play in this tunnel.
Yeah, right here. As you're watching these difficult levels, by the way, take note of what's iconic about them. For this one, it'd be tunnels, I guess, and just sort of the aesthetics of them, because it might be relevant later. Nice.
Something else I don't think has come up, but can happen. If you ever see a spiked wall, if you're really close to it but not touching it, if you try to jump, the act of jumping will kill you. Because if you're within a certain distance of a wall, it'll automatically try to magnet it to you so you can wall jump off of it.
$5 donation from Tychus. Despite the dusty internet connection and my nearly cleaned up bank account, I couldn't not donate for my 5th GDQ in a row. So here's my $5 for this amazing game. Hoping I can give my closest to my usual amount. Hoping I can give closest to my usual amount for AGDQ. Keep up on the good work, everybody. Good luck to all the runners.
This is another level very frustrating for new players who get to it, because again, it has no checkpoints, so very difficult to practice.
It's all about air control anyway, so there's not even anywhere to land except for the beginning and the end.
For people watching on stream, I know this level might be a little hard to see. The specific color palette of this level sometimes doesn't play so well with encoding.
I think personally this is one of my favorite levels out of the difficult levels. It's partially because the character I play is just very, very fast level compared to the other characters. Because you have the extra air charges makes you have to jump a lot in the right half of the level. So it's just a very fun level to play.
Zeta difficult is all about sliding up those slopes.
Another thing about Zeta difficult is it's pretty well hated among the community. It's largely considered the only level with RNG, even though there's no RNG. Yeah.
Yeah, we never really talked about that. Dustforce has no RNG whatsoever, except very importantly for the animals that spawn when you clean up the enemies. That is RNG. That's crucial.
Yeah, I guess by default we have to save the animals.
Oh yeah.
We don't really, can't
We
really
don't-
kill
we
the
don't
animals
get
in
an
this
option.
run.
Oh my god.
That was really close.
That was
Yeah.
really close.
Okay, so this is Yada difficult. This is the final exam of Dustforce. You'll notice little bits and pieces of all of the earlier difficult levels as Sivade is going through this. So the beginning looks very reminiscent of Kilo difficult, and from there we'll move on to Mega and so on.
I think that at the time of this run, Yada has less than 120 SSs, I want to say. So it's a very difficult level. A lot of high level players don't even have the SS yet. Ghost Parapets, this level has some music, but it's not until like near the end. So for the most part, this level has no music.
Here's the Mega section.
I think the mega section actually goes on for quite a while compared to the other sections.
Yeah.
It's going to continue after this drop.
And again, Sivade managing his dashing there so he can avoid hit rising into the spikes.
This is the Notorious Terra section coming up. That was Peta. Bye, Peta.
I think we still consider this section Peta as well, the climbing,
I mean, if
oddly
you
enough.
want.
I'm not really sure why, to be honest.
This will be Exa. This section actually doesn't correspond with a level that's in this game. There was a level they made when they were prototyping out Dustforce, and so this section is named the prototype section.
It's basically an exact copy of the prototype level. It's just like made a little more comfortable, less awkward. Nice.
So what Sivade did there was called a super drop. Basically, he doesn't cling to any walls, and he just light attacks, and the light attack hitbox extends just behind him, so he can clean the dust even when it's not in front of him.
There's Giga section. That's totally normal, by the way. It's it's something that Sivade's actually used to, so no worries.
Yeah, I do that all the time. It's fine.
It's fine. It's totally fine.
In this level, you're never through the worst of it.
No.
I don't know if we've said this yet, but at the end of this level, it will be time.
Yeah. This is, I guess, what we would call the Yada section. It's the end.
And time is now. So,
You are now allowed to breathe.
so I'm just going to go through and double check real quickly that I did absolutely SS everything, because at this point in the game, you are not required to SS levels to unlock the rest. So
If he didn't SS them, he's going to do the run again.
yeah,
The entire run.
just to be safe. That is everything. So
There we go.
So
I gotta
that's-
say, I've watched Sivade do that ending 1,000,001 times, and I'm still incredibly nervous every time he does it.
So the last thing I'm checking is the tutorials, because it is possible to miss some stuff on there.
So what
So-
was time?
Good time?
It's 103.36.
Oh my god.
Wow, that is
That's
fantastic.
really good.
So I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah. Good job.
So that was Dustforce.
That was Dustforce.